Daiho stared at the screen in front of him, watching the endless stream of stars pass by. His shift on the bridge of the Coalition frigate Horizon's Edge had been quiet for the past 6 hours. Too quiet, really. He preferred it that way. Quiet meant no one was shooting at them, and no one was dying. That was a good day in his book. His communicator buzzed. Another message from his mother. He smiled despite himself. She sent him messages every single day, without fail. Most of them asked the same thing. Was he safe? Was he eating enough? When was he coming home? Daiho never minded. After losing his father to a mining accident 3 years ago, he understood why she worried. He was all she had left. He typed back quickly. Yes, Mom, I'm safe. Nothing happening today. Love you. The message had barely sent when the alarm blared across the bridge. Daiho jumped to his feet, his hand instinctively moving to the rifle maglock to his station. Around him, the other crew members scrambled to their positions. Distress signal, called out Lieutenant Hayes from the communications station. Velen transport, royal designation. They're under attack. Captain Rodriguez appeared on the bridge, still fastening her uniform jacket. Location? 3 light minutes from our position, near the Kelser asteroid field. The captain frowned. Daiho knew that look. Politics. Everything involving the Velen Empire was complicated. They were one of the founding species of the Galactic Coalition, ancient and powerful. Humans were the new kids, barely 50 years into their membership. One wrong move could create a diplomatic incident. Are they requesting aid? Rodriguez asked. Negative, Captain. The signal is automated. We're not getting any response to hails. Daiho watched the captain think it through. They had a duty to respond to distress calls, but Royal Velens had their own security forces. If the Horizon's Edge interfered and made things worse, Earth would pay the price. The Coalition had a long memory when it came to human mistakes. I'll go, Daiho heard himself say. Every head on the bridge turned to look at him. He straightened up. Permission to volunteer for the rescue team, Captain. If it goes wrong, it's on me, not Earth. Captain Rodriguez studied him for a long moment. You understand what you're offering, Corporal? Yes, ma'am. She nodded slowly. Assemble a team. 4 people, light and fast. You have 15 minutes. Daiho gathered 3 other soldiers. Minho, his best friend since basic training. Private Lee, a weapons specialist. And Corporal Yunji, their medic. They loaded into the assault shuttle and launched toward the coordinates. Through the viewport, Daiho could see the Velen transport tumbling slowly through space. Scorch marks covered its hull, and several sections were venting atmosphere. That's a royal ship? Minho whispered. Looks like it went through a war. Stay sharp, Daiho said. If the attackers are still there, we're walking into a fight. The shuttle docked with the transport's emergency airlock. Daiho was first through, rifle up and ready. The corridor beyond was dark, except for emergency lighting. Bodies lay scattered across the floor. Velen royal guards, their ornate armor punctured by weapons fire. Yunji checked each one, but there were no survivors. What kind of pirates do this? Lee muttered. This is a massacre. Daiho knelt beside one of the guards and examined the wounds. Something felt wrong. The shots were too precise, too professional. Pirates usually sprayed and prayed, relying on numbers and chaos. This was execution-style killing. A sound echoed from deeper in the ship. Daiho signaled his team to spread out. They moved through the corridors, clearing rooms one by one. The transport's interior was luxurious, nothing like the utilitarian military ships Daiho was used to. Expensive art hung on the walls. The furniture looked like it cost more than he made in a year without another sound. Closer now. Daiho tracked it to a sealed door marked with vellum script he couldn't read. He positioned his team and overrode the lock. The door hissed open. Inside, curled up in an escape pod with a weapon, clutched in her shaking hands, was a young Velen woman. She looked barely older than 20 in human years. Her clothes were torn and bloody, and her golden skin was pale with shock. But Deho recognized the royal crest on her uniform immediately. "Princess," he said softly, lowering his weapon. "We're here to help." She stared at him with wide purple eyes. "You're human?" "Yes, ma'am." "Coalition frigate Horizon's Edge. We picked up your distress signal." "The attackers," she whispered. "They're still on the ship. They're looking for me." As if summoned by her words, weapons fire erupted from the corridor. Deho spun, returning fire as armored figures rushed their position. His team reacted instantly, laying down covering fire. These weren't pirates. Their equipment was too good, their tactics too coordinated. "Yoonji, get her to the shuttle." Da-ho shouted. "Minho Lee with me." The fight was brutal and close. The attackers wore no identifying marks, but their weapons were coalition grade. Da-ho noticed it immediately. He filed that information away for later as he dropped 2 attackers with controlled bursts. Humans might be new to the coalition, but they'd been fighting wars since before they discovered fire. The muscle memory was built into their DNA. Minho took a hit to his shoulder, but kept firing. Lee flanked left, using a tactic that would have been considered too aggressive by coalition standards. But it worked. The attackers fell back, caught off guard by the humans' willingness to push forward under fire. "Move," Do-ho ordered, providing covering fire as his team retreated toward the shuttle. He was the last one through the airlock, sealing it behind him as weapons fire sparked off the hull. The shuttle detached and burned hard for the Horizon's Edge. In the passenger compartment, Yoonji worked on treating the princess's injuries while she stared at Deho. "You fight like savages," she said quietly. It wasn't quite an insult, more like an observation. Deho checked his rifle, making sure it was ready in case the attackers had their own ship. "We fight to win, Your Highness." "There's a difference." "Those men," she said. "They had coalition weapons," I noticed. "That means someone in the coalition wanted me dead." Deho looked at her directly. She was scared, but her eyes were sharp, smart. "That's above my pay grade, Mao. But yeah, that's what it means." The shuttle docked with the Horizon's Edge, and Captain Rodriguez herself was waiting at the airlock. Her expression was carefully neutral as she greeted the princess, but Deho saw the concern in her eyes. This was exactly the kind of situation that could blow up into a major incident. As medical personnel escorted Princess Hana to the med bay, Deho finally had a moment to breathe. His communicator buzzed again. His mother, probably worried because she'd seen the news about a Velen ship in distress. He smiled tiredly and typed out a message. "Yes, Mom, I'm safe. Rescued a VIP today. Love you." He hit send, not knowing that this simple rescue would change everything. Not just for him, but for all of humanity. The medical bay of the Horizon's Edge was small compared to Velen standards. But Yoonji ran it with the efficiency of someone who'd patched up soldiers in far worse conditions. Princess Hana sat on the examination table, her wounds cleaned and bandaged. Looking uncomfortable in borrowed human clothing that didn't quite fit her taller frame, Deho stood guard outside the med bay door, watching crew members pass by and trying not to think about how badly this could all go wrong. A human soldier rescuing Velen royalty should have been a good thing, but the politics made everything complicated. His communicator buzzed with another message from his mother, asking if he was really okay. He assured her again that he was fine, leaving out the part about attacking armed hostiles and harboring a princess. Commander Jiwon Park approached, her face stern. She was Daiho's direct superior, a career officer who'd worked her way up from enlisted ranks. She believed in following orders and doing things by the book, which was why the worry lines on her forehead were deeper than usual. "The Coalition is sending an envoy," she said quietly. "Ambassador Tiemann. He'll be here in 6 hours to collect the princess." "That's fast," Daiho said. "Too fast. The attack happened less than 8 hours ago, and they already have someone in position to retrieve her?" Commander Park shook her head. "Something's wrong here, Corporal." Before Daiho could respond, the med bay door opened. Princess Hana stood there, looking at them both. "I need to speak with Corporal Daiho, privately." Commander Park raised an eyebrow, but nodded. "You have 10 minutes." She walked away, leaving them alone as Hana gestured for Daiho to follow her back into the med bay. Once the door closed, she turned to face him. "You noticed the weapons?" It wasn't a question. Daiho nodded. "Coalition grade. Military issue. Not something pirates would have." "I wasn't traveling on some random route," Hana said, her voice low. "I was going to a secret meeting. There are members of the Coalition who want reform, who want to change how things work. They wanted my support because my voice carries weight in the Velen Empire. And someone found out. Someone who wanted me dead before I could make a difference." She looked at him directly. "I don't know who I can trust in my own government. Everyone around me could be part of this." Daiho thought about his mother, about the simple life he'd left behind on Earth. Politics at this level was way beyond him. He was just a soldier. But he'd also spent his whole life watching humans get pushed around by older species who thought they knew better. Maybe that's why he believed the princess when others might not. "The Coalition weapons bother me too," he admitted. "But I'm just a corporal. No one listens to corporals. They should." Hana smiled sadly. "You saw what others missed. You saved my life when it would have been safer to ignore the distress call. That's worth more than rank." The door slid open without warning. Commander Park stood there, her face grim. "Ambassador Tiemann has arrived early. He's demanding immediate transfer of custody." "Early?" Daiho said. "You said 6 hours." "I know what I said, Corporal." Apparently, the ambassador considers this urgent enough to push his ship's engines to the limit. Park looked at Princess Hana. "Your Highness. I'm sorry, but Coalition law requires us to release you to Velen authority." "I have no choice." Hana's face went pale, but she nodded. "I understand." Daiho watched her try to be brave, and something in his gut twisted. His mother always said he had good instincts, that he could sense when something was wrong before anyone else noticed. Right now, every instinct was screaming at him. He followed as they escorted Princess Hana to the docking bay. Ambassador Tiemann was there waiting, surrounded by 6 security personnel. The ambassador was Velen like Hana, but older, with cold eyes that reminded Daiho of a snake. The security team wore unmarked armor, professional and silent. "Princess Hana," Tiemann said smoothly, "thank the stars you're safe. Your family has been worried sick." "I'm sure they have," Hana said carefully. Daiho stood at attention, trying to look like just another guard. But he was watching the security team. Something about them nagged at him. The way they moved, their equipment, the way they positioned themselves around the Princess Dot. Then he saw it. One of the security personnel had a scar on his left hand, visible below his glove. A distinctive burn mark. Daiho had seen that exact scar before, less than 12 hours ago, on one of the attackers he'd shot on the transport. His blood went cold. These weren't Hana's protectors. They were the people who tried to kill her. He caught Commander Park's eye and gave her the hand signal for hostile contact. She frowned, not understanding. He didn't have time to explain. The transfer was happening now. "Ambassador, Deo said loudly, stepping forward. I need to verify your credentials before the princess leaves this ship. Teeman turned to him, irritated. You need to what? Coalition security protocol. Deo lied smoothly. Any VIP transfer requires credential verification. It'll just take a minute. This is absurd. I am a Velen ambassador. Then you have nothing to worry about. Deo held his ground. Commander Park was looking at him like he'd lost his mind, but she hadn't ordered him to stand down yet. Teeman's expression hardened. Captain Rodriguez, control your subordinate or I will file a formal complaint with Coalition Command. Captain Rodriguez had arrived at the docking bay. She looked between Deo and the ambassador, clearly trying to figure out what was happening. Corporal Kim, stand down. Deo didn't move. He was looking at the security team now, and two of them had their hands on their weapons. Not the stance of protective guards. The stance of people ready to shoot. Captain, those men attacked the princess's transport, Deo said clearly. I recognize one of them from the fight. Everything happened at once. The security team went for their weapons. Deo dove forward, tackling Princess Hana to the ground as weapons fire erupted overhead. The docking bay became a war zone in seconds. Commander Park, to her credit, reacted instantly. She hit the emergency lockdown button, sealing the bay doors. Alarm klaxons wailed as Coalition security responded to the firefight. Deo pulled Hana behind a cargo container. Can you run? Yes, she gasped. Then run, now. They broke from cover, sprinting for the maintenance access tunnel, while weapons fire chased them. Deo heard Commander Park shouting orders behind them, buying them time. He'd just committed about a dozen violations of Coalition law, and he dragged his commander into it. But Hana was alive, and that's what mattered. They ran through maintenance tunnels that Deo had memorized during his first week on the ship. Behind them, he could hear pursuit. The station's security would be looking for them too. He was a wanted man now, accused of kidnapping a princess. His communicator buzzed insistently. News feeds were already spreading the story. Human soldier goes rogue, takes Velen princess hostage. His mother would be seeing those same feeds. Terrified, they reached a service junction, and Deo pulled out his communicator. His hands were shaking as he typed. Yes, Mom, I'm safe. Don't believe what you see on the news. I promise I'm doing the right thing. I love you. He didn't know if he'd ever get to explain. He didn't know if she'd believe him. But he hit send anyway. Princess Hana looked at him in the dim emergency lighting. Why did you do that? You've thrown away your career, maybe your life, for someone you barely know. Deo checked his rifle. Because someone needed to. And because you're right. The Coalition needs to change. Maybe it starts with one corporal being too stubborn to look the other way. Somewhere in the tunnels behind them, boots echoed. They had to keep moving. Where do we go? Hana asked. Ho thought about it. They needed help, needed someone who could dig into what was really happening. I know someone. If we can reach her, maybe we can figure out who's trying to kill you. They disappeared deeper into the maintenance sections. Two people against an empire, running on nothing but hope and determination. The maintenance tunnels of the station smelled like recycled air and lubricant. The Daiho led Princess Hana through the cramped spaces, avoiding main corridors where security would be searching. His communicator showed 17 missed calls from his mother. He couldn't answer. Not yet. Not until he knew what to say. Where are we going? Hana asked for the third time. She was keeping up better than he'd expected. Royal training apparently included some physical fitness, though the borrowed boots were clearly giving her blisters. There's someone who might help us, Deo said. A friend from my academy days. She's intelligence now, stationed on this station. If anyone can dig into what's happening, it's her. They emerged from the tunnels into a residential section. Daeho pulled up his hood and kept his head down. Hannah did the same. On every screen they passed, news feeds showed his face. Human terrorist kidnaps Velen princess. Authorities urge public to report any sightings. Earth's ambassador was making statements about how this didn't represent humanity's values. They're making you the villain, Hannah said quietly. I've been called worse. Daeho guided her around a corner. My mom used to say I was too stubborn for my own good. Guess she was right. They reached a small apartment in the civilian quarters. Daeho knocked in a specific pattern. 3 short, 2 long, 1 short. The door cracked open, and a woman's face appeared. She looked at Daeho, then at Hana, and her eyes went wide. Are you completely insane? Sujin hissed, pulling them inside quickly. She locked the door and activated privacy screens. Do you know what they're saying about you? Yeah, I've seen the feeds. Daeho watched as Sujin paced her tiny apartment. She looked the same as he remembered from the academy, sharp eyes and sharper mind. I need your help, Sujin. Help? You need therapy. You kidnapped a princess. I saved her life, Daeho said firmly. The people who came to retrieve her were the same ones who attacked her transport. I recognized them. Sujin stopped pacing. You're sure? Completely. She looked at Princess Hana. Is he telling the truth? Hana nodded. I believe him. I was being targeted for assassination. Someone in the coalition wanted me dead. Sujin sat down heavily. That's a serious accusation. I know, Hana said. That's why I need proof. Can you access coalition financial records? Not legally. I'm not asking you to do it legally. Hana pulled out a small data chip from inside her jacket. I have royal access codes. They might not have been deactivated yet. If we combine your skills with my clearance, we might find something. Sujin looked between them. Daeho could see her weighing the risks. She'd always been careful, always followed the rules. But she'd also been the one who questioned things when others accepted them blindly. That's what made her good at intelligence work. If I do this and we find nothing, you both go to the authorities, Sujin said. Agreed, Hana said immediately. Sujin set up her secure terminal and inserted Hana's access chip. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up layers of encrypted data. Daeho stood watch by the door, listening for anyone approaching. Every few minutes, he checked his communicator. His mother's messages were getting more desperate. Please answer me. I need to know you're okay. His heart ached. He typed back, I'm safe, Mom. I promise I'll explain everything soon. Trust me, I love you. Found something, Sujin said suddenly. Both Daeho and Hana moved to look over her shoulder. The screen showed financial transactions, massive amounts of credits moving through shadow accounts. These payments have been going out for months. Look at the recipients. Hana leaned closer. Those are the names of reformist coalition members, the ones who've been pushing for change. She scrolled through the list, and her face went pale. Half of these people are dead. The other half have been discredited or forced to resign. All of them received large payments right before something happened to them, Sujin said. Someone's been setting them up, making it look like they were corrupt. When that didn't work. They died in accidents or attacks. Pirates, Daeho said bitterly. Always convenient pirates. Sujin pulled up more files. There's a pattern here. Every incident happened when someone was pushing for reform that would limit the old powers. Look at this. 3 months ago, when the council was voting on including younger species in major decisions, 5 reformist delegates died in a shuttle crash. I remember that, Hana said. The investigation said it was mechanical failure. The investigation was handled by Lord Kale's office. Hannah froze. Kale? My uncle? Sujin nodded grimly. He's connected to every single one of these incidents. The money flows through accounts he controls. He's been working with conservative coalition members to eliminate anyone who threatens the current power structure. Dae-ho watched Hannah process this. Finding out your family wanted you dead was one thing. Finding out they'd been killing others for months was another. If I die, Hannah said slowly, Kale inherits the throne. He's next in line, and he gets to push the Velen Empire back toward the old ways, Sujin added. No reforms, no changes, no including species like humanity in real power. The pieces were falling into place. Dae-ho felt sick. The attack on your transport wasn't just about killing you. It was about making it look like pirates did it. One more tragic accident. Until you interfered, Hannah said, looking at him. You weren't supposed to save me. You were supposed to find my body and accept the official story. An alert flashed on Sujin's screen. We've got a problem. Security forces are doing building-by-building searches. They'll be here in 20 minutes. Can you copy all this data? Dae-ho asked, already done. Sujin handed him a data chip. But what are you going to do with it? You're wanted criminals. No one will listen to you. Hannah stood up straighter. Then we make them listen. The Coalition Summit is in 3 days. Every major species will be there. All the media feeds. Billions watching. If we can expose Kale there, in front of everyone, he can't spin it. That's insane, Sujin said. The summit will be the most heavily guarded location in Coalition space, which is exactly why Kale won't expect us to attack there. Hannah looked at Dae-ho. You're good at doing the unexpected, right? Dae-ho thought about his options. They could run, try to hide somewhere in Coalition space. But the truth would die with them. Or they could go on the offensive. Take the fight to the people who tried to kill Hannah and frame him. His mother's voice echoed in his head. Do the right thing, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. We'll need help, he said. We can't do this alone. As if summoned by his words, his communicator buzzed. But this time, it wasn't his mother. It was Commander Park. The message was simple. Docking Bay 7. 20 minutes. Come alone or don't come at all. It could be a trap. Probably was a trap. But Dae-ho trusted his gut, and his gut said Park was on their side. We have to go, he told the others. Sujin, thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're still probably going to die. But Sujin hugged him anyway. Good luck, you stubborn idiot. They slipped out of the apartment and made their way toward the docking bay. Security was everywhere, but Dae-ho knew the station's blind spots. They moved like ghosts through the crowds. At Docking Bay 7, Commander Park was waiting with the assault shuttle from the horizon's edge. She looked at them and shook her head. I'm probably going to regret this. You're helping us? Hannah asked. I'm helping the truth, Park said. And I'm tired of watching good people get crushed by bad politics. Get in the shuttle before I change my mind. As they lifted off from the station, security forces finally converged on their last known location. But they were already gone, burning toward open space. Dae-ho pulled out his communicator one more time. His mother deserved to know something, even if he couldn't tell her everything. Yes, Mom, I'm safe. I know things look bad, but I'm doing what you taught me. The right thing. No matter what happens next, know that I love you, and I'm proud to be your son. He sent the message and watched the station shrink behind them. Ahead, somewhere out there, was the summit, and Lord Kale, and the truth that would either save them or destroy them. Princess Hannah sat across from him, looking out the viewport. Thank you, she said quietly, for believing me, for risking everything. Dae-ho shrugged. Someone had to. And in that moment, He knew they had a chance. It was small, probably impossible, but it was there. Humans had always been good at doing the impossible. The horizon's edge hung in space at the edge of coalition territory, running silent with all non-essential systems powered down. Inside the frigate, the crew worked quietly, knowing that every communication they sent could give away their position. They were officially listed as a rogue vessel now. Earth's government had denounced their actions. The coalition had put a bounty on their capture. Day-Ho stood in the briefing room with Commander Park. Princess Hana, and a holographic projection of Admiral Yuna Choi. The Admiral's face was carefully neutral, but Day-Ho could see the tension in her shoulders. She was the highest-ranking human in the coalition military, and she'd just received evidence that everything she'd fought to build was built on lies. "I've reviewed the data you sent," Admiral Choi said. "If this is real, it changes everything." "It's real," Hannah said firmly. "I've verified the codes and transactions. My uncle has been systematically eliminating anyone who threatened the old power structure. The problem is proof that will stand up to scrutiny," the Admiral said. "Financial records can be faked. Accusations can be denied. We need something undeniable." Commander Park leaned forward. "The summit. If we can get Lord Kale to admit his involvement in front of the entire coalition, with every media feed broadcasting live, there's no way to cover it up." "How do you plan to make him confess?" the Admiral asked. "He's not going to volunteer information." Day-Ho had been thinking about this. Pride. These old families, they believe they're untouchable. If we confront him publicly, make him defend himself, he'll want to prove he's smarter than us. That's when people make mistakes. That's a lot of assumptions, Corporal. I know, ma'am. But we don't have many options left. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. If I support this officially, Earth gets dragged into it. We're already on thin ice with the coalition. This could mean war. And if we do nothing, Hana said, the corruption continues. More good people die. Your species stays under the thumb of powers who see you as inferior. Admiral Choi smiled grimly. You're learning how to talk to humans, Princess. Appeal to our stubborn streak. She made her decision. I can't help you officially, but I can authorize a Black Ops team to be in the area during the summit. If they happen to assist some civilians in distress, well, that's just good citizenship. Thank you, Admiral, Commander Park said. Don't thank me yet. Even with help, this is borderline suicidal. The Admiral looked at Day-Ho. I'm trusting you to bring our people home, Corporal. Don't make me regret it. The transmission ended. Day-Ho felt the weight of that trust settle on his shoulders. He checked his communicator again. His mother had stopped sending messages asking if he was okay. Now she just sent one line over and over. Come home safe. He wished he could promise her that he would. The next 48 hours were spent planning. The summit was being held on Sanctum Station, a massive facility built specifically for coalition gatherings. Security would be overwhelming. Hundreds of delegates, thousands of staff, countless guards from a dozen different species. Getting in would be nearly impossible. We can't fight our way in, Commander Park said, studying the station's layout. Even with Admiral Choi's team, we'd be outnumbered 100 to 1. Then we don't fight, Hana said. We sneak. I'm still a princess, even if I'm officially listed as kidnapped. My security credentials might still work. That's a big might, Day-Ho said. Do you have a better idea? He didn't. None of them did. So they went with the plan that had the best chance of getting them killed quickly. The Black Ops team arrived 12 hours before the summit. 6 soldiers, the best humanity had to offer. Leading them was Mino, Day-Ho's friend from the original rescue mission. His shoulder was still bandaged from the fight, but he was grinning when he came aboard. You always did know how to find trouble, Mino said. Clasping Daeho's hand, I learned from the best. True. Remember that time in training when you decided to improvise during a live fire exercise? That worked out fine. You got shot twice. But we won the exercise. Minho laughed. It felt good to laugh, even with everything hanging over them. The rest of the team gathered around for the briefing. Daeho laid out the plan, such as it was. Get into the station using Hannah's credentials. Make their way to the main summit chamber. Confront Lord Kale with the evidence. Broadcast everything live to every coalition feed. Hope they survived long enough to matter. That's not a plan, one of the soldiers said. That's a prayer. You have a better one? Daeho asked. Silence. Then we go with the prayer. They approached Sanctum Station in a civilian transport, one of hundreds arriving for the summit. Security scanned them at 3 different checkpoints. Each time, Hannah's credentials worked, and each time Daeho expected alarms to blare. But they made it through. Weapons hidden in diplomatic cargo that Hannah's codes marked as exempt from deep scanning. Inside the station, the summit was already underway. Delegates from across the coalition filled the massive halls, discussing trade agreements and territorial disputes. Daeho watched them and wondered how many knew about the corruption, how many were part of it, how many were victims of it. The main session starts in 2 hours, Hannah said quietly. That's when Kale will address the assembly. He's proposing new security measures. Let me guess, Minho said. Measures that give him more power. Exactly. They split up to avoid attracting attention. Daeho and Hannah moved through the crowds while Minho's team positioned themselves at key points. The plan depended on timing and luck, 2 things that rarely worked in their favor. Daeho's communicator buzzed. A message from his mother. He opened it, expecting another plea for him to come home. Instead, it was different. I saw the news. I saw what they're saying about you. But I know my son. I know you're doing what's right. Make them see the truth. I'm proud of you. I love you. He had to stop walking for a moment. Hannah looked at him with concern. Are you okay? Yeah, he said, his voice rough. Just needed a reminder of why we're doing this. They reached the main chamber as delegates were filing in. Security was heavy here. Power-armored guards from a dozen species. Daeho spotted Lord Kale surrounded by advisors, looking confident and comfortable. This was his moment, his chance to consolidate power. Not if Daeho had anything to say about it. Hannah stepped forward, and immediately, guards moved to intercept her. Then they recognized her, and confusion rippled through the security detail. The kidnapped princess, walking freely into the summit. Kale's head snapped around, and for just a second, Daeho saw fear in his eyes. Then Kale's expression smoothed into concern. Hannah, thank the stars. We thought you were being held hostage by that human terrorist. The only terrorist here is you, Uncle, Hannah said loudly, her voice carrying across the chamber. Delegates stopped talking and turned to watch. I have proof that you've been murdering reformists and staging attacks to maintain power. Kale laughed, but it sounded forced. You've been through a terrible ordeal. You're clearly not thinking straight. Guards, please escort my niece to medical care. I'm thinking perfectly straight. Hannah pulled out the data chip. I have financial records, transaction histories, evidence of every assassination you've ordered. And I'm going to share it with everyone here. More lies from the humans corrupting you, Kale said. He looked at the assembly. This is exactly why we need stronger security measures. To protect us from those who would tear down the coalition from within. The Daeho watched it happen in real time. Kale was spinning the narrative, making Hannah look unstable, making humans look dangerous. The delegates were listening, some nodding along. They were losing the room. Then Minho's voice came through Daeho's earpiece. We've got a problem. Just detected a massive explosive device in the lower levels. It's connected to the main chamber supports. Day-Ho's blood ran cold. Kale's backup plan, he whispered to Hannah. If he can't discredit you, he destroys the summit and blames it on us. Hannah's face went pale. She looked at Kale, and understanding passed between them. This had always been his endgame. How much time? Day-Ho asked. 15 minutes. Maybe less. 15 minutes to expose a conspiracy, save the summit, and somehow survive. Just another day in the life of a stubborn human corporal. Day-Ho stepped forward into the chamber, and every weapon in the room pointed at him. He raised his hands, but kept walking. My name is Corporal Day-Ho Kim, and I'm here to tell you the truth. Every eye in the summit chamber turned to look at Day-Ho. Weapons were still pointed at him from a dozen different directions, but he kept his hands raised and kept walking forward. He could feel his heart pounding, but his voice stayed steady. His mother had always said he was at his best when things were at their worst. I know what you've all been told, Day-Ho said, addressing the assembled delegates. That I'm a terrorist. That I kidnapped Princess Hannah. The humans are dangerous and unstable. He looked directly at Lord Kale. But the real terrorist is standing right there, and he's about to kill everyone in this room. Kale's smile never wavered. The human is delusional. Guards, remove him. There's a bomb in the lower levels, Day-Ho continued, talking fast now. Set to destroy the station's main supports. It's connected to Coalition military-grade explosives, the same kind used in all those convenient pirate attacks. Lord Kale planted it as his backup plan. If he couldn't control the summit, he'd destroy it and blame us. Murmurs rippled through the delegates. Some looked skeptical, but others were checking their own security feeds, sending urgent messages to their staff. Prove it, Kale said calmly. You make these wild accusations with no evidence. This is exactly the kind of chaos humanity brings to our orderly society. Hannah stepped forward, holding up the data chip. The evidence is right here. Every transaction, every assassination, every staged attack. All connected to you, Uncle. I was going to present it diplomatically, but since you've decided to murder everyone instead, I think we'll just broadcast it to every feed in Coalition space. She moved toward the main broadcasting console. Kale's guards moved to stop her, but then Ming-Ho and his team appeared, weapons raised, creating a standoff. The chamber erupted in shouting. Delegates dove for cover. Security forces didn't know who to point their weapons at. 12 minutes, Ming-Ho said in Day-Ho's ear. The bomb just armed itself. Day-Ho made a decision. He ran for the broadcasting console, using the chaos as cover. Energy weapons fired, missing him by centimeters. He wasn't thinking about survival anymore. He was thinking about his mother, about Earth, about all the people who deserved better than corrupt leaders playing games with their lives. He reached the console. At the same time as Hannah, she inserted the data chip while he activated every broadcasting channel he could find. Within seconds, financial records started streaming across every screen in the chamber, transmitted to billions of viewers across Coalition space. Stop them, Kale shouted, his composure finally cracking. But it was too late. The evidence was out there now, impossible to recall or deny. Transaction after transaction showing payments to assassins, to corrupt officials, to weapons dealers. Every reformist who died had been targeted by accounts Kale controlled. The pattern was undeniable. A delegate from the Altarian Collective stood up, her face twisted with rage. My brother was one of those reformists. You told us he died in a pirate attack. Another delegate rose. My colleague. You murdered him and called it an accident. More voices joined in. The chamber filled with anger as delegates realized how many of them had lost friends, colleagues, allies to Kale's conspiracy. The carefully maintained facade of order collapsed. Kale looked around wildly. His guards were backing away, unwilling to protect someone so obviously guilty. He was alone now, exposed, and his arrogance finally turned to fear. 10 minutes, Minho warned. Dai-Ho, we need to evacuate. Not yet. Dai-Ho looked at Kale. Tell them. Tell them why you did it. Tell them you were willing to kill thousands just to hold on to power. You don't understand, Kale said, his voice rising. The coalition is falling apart. Too many voices, too much chaos. We need strong leadership, not this democratic mess that gives primitives like humanity a say in matters beyond their understanding. So you decided to murder anyone who disagreed, Hana said quietly. Anyone who wanted change. Anyone who believed in something better. Better? Kale laughed bitterly. Better is what I was building. A return to order, to the natural hierarchy. Your generation is too weak to understand that some species are meant to lead while others follow. Every word was being broadcast. Every admission, every arrogant justification. The galaxy was watching Lord Kale destroy himself with his own pride. 8 minutes, Minho said. Dai-Ho, seriously, we need to go. Alarms started blaring across the station. Someone had finally confirmed the bomb threat. Panic spread through the chamber as delegates realized they were all in danger. Security forces began evacuating people, but there wasn't enough time to get everyone out. Dai-Ho turned to Minho's team. Can you disarm it? Not in 8 minutes. This thing is professional grade. Admiral Choi's voice came through on the emergency channel. All human forces. This is Admiral Choi. I'm bringing the fleet in. We're evacuating as many as we can. Through the viewport, Dai-Ho could see human warships dropping out of hyperspace. The Admiral had risked everything, brought Earth's fleet into coalition space without authorization. It was an act of war, technically, but right now it was salvation. The evacuation turned into controlled chaos. Human soldiers worked alongside coalition security to get people into escape pods and shuttles. Earth's fleet had come prepared, deploying every transport they had. Dai-Ho found himself helping an elderly delegate from a species he didn't recognize. The delegate looked at him with wonder. You came back. After everything we did to your people, you came back to save us. That's what humans do, Dai-Ho said simply. We don't leave people behind. 4 minutes, Minho warned. Princess Hana was coordinating evacuation efforts, using her authority to keep order. Lord Kale had been taken into custody, stripped of his titles and power. He was just another criminal now, screaming about injustice, as guards dragged him toward an escape pod. Dai-Ho was helping clear the last section of the chamber when he realized Minho and his team were heading in the opposite direction, toward the lower levels. What are you doing? Dai-Ho demanded. Buying time, Minho said. If we can't disarm it, maybe we can contain the blast long enough for everyone to get clear. That's suicide. Yeah, probably. But someone has to do it. Minho grinned. Besides, you already got to be the hero. My turn. Minho, get them out, Dai-Ho. Make sure this meant something. The channel cut off. Dai-Ho wanted to follow, wanted to help, but Commander Park grabbed his arm. He's right. We need to finish the evacuation. The next 3 minutes felt like hours. Dai-Ho worked mechanically, getting people onto shuttles, checking corners for stragglers. His communicator was buzzing constantly now. His mother, trying to reach him, probably watching the broadcasts and terrified. He couldn't answer. Not yet. Not until everyone was safe. 1 minute, someone announced. All remaining personnel, evacuate immediately. Dai-Ho and Commander Park were on the last shuttle. Through the viewport, they watched Sanctum Station hanging in space. Most of the lights were dark now, the structure nearly empty. Then, deep in the lower levels, there was a flash. But it wasn't the massive explosion Dai-Ho had been expecting. It was contained, directed away from the main structure. Minho and his team had done it. They'd shaped the blast to minimize damage, sacrificing themselves to save everyone else. The shuttle was silent, except for the sound of someone crying. Dai-Ho closed his eyes and said a prayer for his friend Doc in the aftermath. Everything changed. Lord Kale's conspiracy was exposed for all to see. Other corrupt officials were identified and removed from power. The coalition began real reforms, giving younger species like humanity genuine representation. Earth was hailed as heroes. The human soldiers who'd given their lives to save the summit were honored across coalition space. Admiral Choi became head of coalition military forces. Commander Park was promoted and given command of a new joint species task force. Dai-Ho declined every medal and promotion they offered. He'd done what needed to be done, but he'd also lost friends. Minho's name would be carved into memorials, but Dai-Ho would never forget the grin on his face as he ran toward certain death. 3 months later, Princess Hana visited Earth for the official alliance ceremony. The media was everywhere, capturing the historic moment of genuine cooperation between species. But Hana slipped away from the official events to visit a small apartment in Seoul. She found Dai-Ho helping his mother carry groceries up the stairs. He looked surprised to see her, still not quite comfortable with having royalty as a friend. "Your Highness," he said awkwardly. "Hana," she corrected. "We've been through too much for titles." His mother invited her in for tea. They sat in the small kitchen, while news broadcasts showed the ceremony happening downtown. Dai-Ho's medal sat in a drawer somewhere, ignored. But on the wall was a picture of him and Minho from their academy days, both of them grinning like idiots. "He would have liked all this," Hana said, looking at the picture. "The reforms, the changes. He didn't die for nothing." "I know," Dai-Ho said. "Doesn't make it easier." "No, it doesn't." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Outside, the world was changing. Humanity had proven itself not through violence, but through courage and sacrifice. The galaxy would never see them the same way again. Later, after Hana left for the official ceremonies, Dai-Ho sat in his childhood room and pulled out his communicator. His mother was in the kitchen, humming while she cooked dinner. Earth was safe outside his window. The galaxy was better than it had been. He typed out a message, the same one he'd sent so many times before, but this time it meant something different. "Yes, Mom, I'm safe. I'm finally home." He hit send and smiled. The adventure was over. The war was won. And a stubborn human corporal had helped change the galaxy by simply refusing to look the other way. When someone needed help, his mother called him to dinner. Dai-Ho closed his communicator and went to join her, leaving the chaos of galactic politics behind. He'd done his part. Now it was time to just be her son again, and that was enough.